It sparks flashes of brilliance, prompts bold moves, and threads our wildest ideas together. So what exactly is the student spirit? Well, it's the part of us that's forever curious, a mindset where anything is possible. Tries new things. Keeps you sharp between the ears and pays just a little more attention. It isn't afraid to make a statement. Changes the world, one step at a time. And squeezes our egos, insecurities, and fears into tiny little metaphorical balls before crushing them. The curious don't just think, they do. Stay curious.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So glad to welcome you as part of our community tonight. This webinar is being recorded and distributed live stream. By entering this virtual meeting room, you give your consent to be recorded and distributed by the Student Hotel Vienna and other third parties. If you prefer to not be recorded, please turn off your camera and microphone and/or go to the Facebook Live video feed, the link to which has been placed in the chat room. For a better experience, please turn off your microphone and set your video to gallery view. Tonight, we are joined by Dr. Bob and Andrés Garcia, a Vienna-based orchestral and choir conductor. What does a conductor contribute to a musical performance? If we took an opinion poll among tonight's participants, the responses could probably be categorized into two extreme and diametrically opposed viewpoints. One category being, quote, the conductor does everything, end quote. The other being, quote, the conductor does nothing, end quote. A friend of mine who spent his whole career as an orchestral musician always reminded me that conductors retire only when they breathe their last breath. This, he said, was because, quote, nobody ever hears the baton. Among the more cutting remarks he told me about working with conductors was that if during a rehearsal, a conductor didn't allow him the space he needed to rise to the musical occasion, he would turn his fiery outrage against the conductor and, quote, play exactly as the conductor conducted, end quote. This counteroffensive, he said, usually ended with the conductor abruptly ending the rehearsal and fleeing to his or her dressing room. I'm curious to know what my friend would think about Andrés Garcia's conducting. Andrés is one of those few conductors who, rather than living for the concert performance and the glory of applause that accompanies it, lives for the quiet satisfaction of saying good night to his colleagues after a productive evening rehearsal. He loves working with people, be they professional or amateur, singers or musicians. When it comes to Andrés, it's about sharing the music, and it's about communicating with people and helping them achieve their very best as a team. He calls it leading and letting it happen. That motto is so important to Andrés that he reprints it in quotations above his name and profession. So, is my friend's viewpoint simply a reflection of a past reality? Or does my friend's negative viewpoint still apply to the younger generation of conductors? Good thing Andrés is here to represent his profession's dignity and provide us with context and insight into the performing art that he has dedicated his life to practicing at the highest level possible. Andrés Garcia is artistic director of the Neue Madrigal Chor, the choir of the Vienna University of Academics and Business, and the L'Orfeo Orchestra of Vienna. Andrés, welcome.
Thank you. dear Simeon. Thank you for the invitation. I'm really glad to be here.
Well, pleasure. So tell us about, you're from Colombia. You've now lived in Vienna for almost as long as you were in Colombia, or if not longer. How did you get into music? Are your family musicians?
Not directly, not professional as musicians. So we are two sons, my brother and my brother is a really well-known songwriter in Colombia. But my parents they used to play guitar and to sing, and my mother composed some songs when she was pregnant and also when she was engaged with my father. And but this is just a part of that, because actually we live in a family where everything was able to do. We learned picturing and also tennis or that, and we just change, and we have this opportunity to try things. And the music was the whole time there, just singing, dancing, and there was really important thing, just dancing in Colombia, and salsa, merengue, and this part of the contact with the society through songs, through dance. That was a really good, so how to put it, like a good basis for choosing at the later another a career. I will say that I'm conductor and choir leader and musician, but actually I can imagine being something else, engineer, or maybe a geography or I don't know. We had a lot of interest, and I just choose the music, but I love I'm interested in other things, and that's part of my job, not to be like a specialization man, but being like open for other disciplines.
So your parents, and your family, they were very into the Latin American dances, salsa, merengue, and your brother, he writes popular Latin American music. How did you get into classical music specifically?
Uh, I wouldn't say it like put it like in a big picture, like once I say a piano and I knew I going to be a pianist. I won't put it like a picture thing. It's what more the confluence of more different things. But there's some how to put it. Pictures like being playing in a neighborhood's house with a small piano that was really a casual, that was really a small thing, and I remember me just playing there, and the word I'm using is really plain, and in Spanish we don't have the word playing music like in German spielen Musik, or Musik spielen in dem Fall, but we used to the word tocar, that is like berühren, also, or touching. And if I remember the time just playing piano, I would already use the word playing, just playing like a kids play, like with a football or so, just being there, not thinking I'm going to be a musician. It's this kind of natural contact what moved me, and I would say it of I play piano and I play this music, and I choose to my profession my playing. I would say in German, ich würde, would help me with the translation. Auf meine Spielzeit, ich habe dann meinen Beruf gemacht. Also that means for my playing.
My playing became a profession.
Right now, and that's what I'm do the whole time, just try to play. Naturally, of course, I'm just thinking. I'm not just like just from the stomach playing, but actually. It's important for me just to keep this feeling of playing, of enjoying the whole time.
So let's bring in Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob, so Andrés, he talks about this playing, this which is maybe a Western phenomenon of today's economies, that we start playing more seriously as kids. We do games like chess or something that use the mind, and eventually we get into serious play, which could be a university professor or theory or anything like that. What's your opinion? And your microphone is turned off.
I will turn it on.
Thank
Thank you, Simeon. Rather than address your question, I just want to address something Andres said, because I think it's just beautiful, and I want to respond to it. Andres is a musician. You were making a distinction during your introduction about certain kinds of conductors. As a composer, sometimes conductors are my friends, sometimes they are not. Having been married to an orchestral musician, I will tell you that sometimes the musicians like the conductor, sometimes they do not. What musicians like is a conductor who is a musician like them, who talks about playing, both playing in the general sense, as you just said, play, and touching, as Andres says. A musician can lead in a way that a conductor cannot. If one gets into conducting because one wants to be in command all the time, and sadly, a lot of people who are professional conductors, in my experience, are people who want to be in control. There's a certain megalomania there that demands that they be the most important person in the room. But musicians, and I'll just mention like Herbert Blomstedt. A lot of people don't know who he is. He was born in Pennsylvania, but a Swede, and he's back in Sweden now. He's in his late 80s, but he was the conductor of the San Francisco Symphony for some 10 years in the 1980s and 1990s before Tilson Thomas. Maestro Blomstedt was truly a maestro, a complete musician and a complete person who loved the act of making music. And that's what Andres is talking about. And if only he was symptomatic of a new generation. I think with conductors, there will always be the power crazy, and there will always be the music makers. And hopefully the power crazy can also make good music, but often they do not. And I won't even regale you with present experience that I have as of now with a young and power mad conductor. But they are out there. And so what we're hearing right now is from someone who just likes to make music, and that rubs off. You get results when you have an attitude like that. And that's what I would address.
Andres, how does that sound to you?
I'm just really agree with what we are saying. Talking about conducting is a really difficult thing. If you ask hundreds of conductors what conducting is, you will have really 100 different answers. And depends of the point of view. That means when I'm saying, where I'm answering to you about conducting, when we talk about conducting, it's a really subjective part of the job I'm doing. What's important maybe to clear on, depends of who are, if you are in contact with the person you are in front on, as the orchestra or a choir. If you get that connection, you can do everything, like dancing. And most of the thing is not about what you do more than how you do it. But because one movement, you can learn just to conduct. There's nothing complicated. You just learn. But that's a part of the whole job. Maybe 10% is learning these conducting shapes and movements. But actually, it's more about how you do it. How do you communicate? How do you say the word? Not what you're saying. And this how make, in my opinion, the difference between a conductors who really hear and get the contact. And there is this book, the 1001 Night. This book, and this Aladdin story, and this is a really beautiful metaphor about touching a lamp, and the genius is inside. And if you touch the lamp properly, that means with love or with knowing how to put it, the genius is coming out. And that's our job as conductors, just playing the lamp to allow this genius that's inside of every musician and every singer and every person. Maybe it's not only a musical thing, how to just touch it properly to get the genius. That is allowed to be something else. I will put it in with this metaphor.
Lovely. So
it is lovely. And if I might say, what Andres is talking about is right on the button, because this is what leadership is all about, is not forcing your ego on those around you, but bringing out the best in the people around you by knowing how to stroke that lamb. And that's the key to any leadership. It's certainly the key to a good conductor.
And Bob, I just wanted to follow up then with what Andres is talking about. I mentioned to him in an earlier conversation we had yesterday about, I mentioned micromanagement, because what having studied business, I learned that people don't want to be told how to do something. They want to be given an objective and solve it themselves. What do you think about that?
Well, it depends. If you're talking about musicians, it depends upon the level of musician you're working with. If you're conducting children or a young youth orchestra, you have to give very specific beats. You just have to. However, if you get in front of a professional orchestra and you start beating 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, giving them every beat, micromanaging them, they'll put down their instruments because they're professionals and they don't need to be shown every detail. They don't want someone who's going to talk to them constantly. Start the music, stop the music, lecture them, start the music, lecture them. They're professionals. They can't be treated that way. In my view, the most successful conductors, like the most successful leaders, are those who can teach while the orchestra does its job. Bernstein was very good at this. I'm not a huge Lenny fan, but he would talk to the band while he was conducting. So they could do their job while he led, while he taught. And he rarely would stop an orchestra once they were in the middle of a piece in a rehearsal. So you must show respect. And that's really what the micromanagement is all about, isn't it? It's disrespectful. You must show professionals, and I think high-end college kids too, you need to show them respect. That's the way you get the best out of them. And the old browbeating style Teutonic conductor, well, for the most part, that's a thing of the past. You can't abuse a workforce the way, for example, you could in the mid-20th century. So yes, micromanagement is all part of the way you upset an orchestra.
Andres, and your influences, Bob mentioned Leonard Bernstein. How does that fit in with you as a professional?
I wouldn't say a name. I think from good conductors you can learn a lot, but I actually learn more from bad conductors. And it's important maybe because there is a lot, the whole broad spectrum from high professional. We are talking for New York Philharmonic, from Vienna Philharmonic, and we are just talking about the top. And if you get the whole picture of music making, you need to see not only the first school with childhood or with children, but also the non-professional. There's a goal, like kind of pyramid with the whole broad of musicians playing music. And if you just have the focus and the top, it's really different to make difference, because and on the top is everything so fine and they're so professional, then you can just take like that's a beautiful thing. I would prefer to work or to talk about conducting a normal situation. That's when you don't have the Vienna Philharmonic or the Berliner Philharmonic, just like working with normal people, just put it in a humoristic way. And it depends. You need to know your work, your job. That means to know how to conduct. That's the first part. And an orchestra and the first rehearsal, they are just looking, do this man know how to conduct? Yes or no? If you're out, you're out. If they say, okay, we can music with this man, that means he can bring this car from A to B, or this ship from Hamburg to New York. Okay, that's the first part. He knows how to drive the car. That's the first part. And the second part is how good the trip is. And then you have a lot of options. And we can take this metaphor from Aladdin. This is like the metaphoric part, the poetic part. Just put it in concrete part. And I think you need an authority. And you can talk about authority like a good thing or bad thing. I wouldn't say it as good or bad, but what you need when you are at the front of an orchestra, a choir, or a group of people, and you're learning like a teacher, this authority should be natural. And for instance, for some people is they need another kind of speech, a kind of other gesture to be honest with himself. And I think this search for me, I just can't talk about me, is looking how is my natural authority, how can I express that I'm honest with me, and if I'm honest with I'm doing, and would say more than that, I just can conduct as good as I am, but also as bad as I am, not more, not better. It's just in the moment you are. If I compare myself with a other conductor, it's like there's this in Vienna. There is a wall in a 9th or the 8th district. Like if you are an apple or you are a banana, don't try to be a banana. You will be a banana, a second grade apple the whole time. And there is about being honest with your how do you not just conduct, how you make music. If I hear a melody in a different way, and they say, but Bernstein made it at that time, and I will make a parenthesis also, because we have all these recordings and a piano recording, Argerich playing Rachmaninoff and Barenboim playing that on that, and these recordings are just a moment, a kind of event, once in a time. But this Bernstein conducts 100 times one symphony, and you can say that's the Beethoven symphony version from Bernstein. I'm not talking bad about him. I'm just saying this work is not only these events and these recordings, it's only this process. And I would say the rehearsals are so important. You had like 90% rehearsal time and 10% concert time. And in the rehearsal is in the moment where you really have touch with the people, not only with the music, but with people where you can change. And this common point, enjoy the process, is really good to put it in a musician process. Enjoy the process, just being in the rehearsal. There is a word in German, this is proben, that is rehearsal, or rehearsaling, but also probieren. This is to try. And proben und probieren are really the same. Come from the same word. And you try, if you are playing with orchestra, you also try. You don't say, okay, I'm the conductor and I really know what we want, and just do it like this. This probieren, and this the actors in the theater also do that. It have the text, and it's like, hello, to be or not to be, and the director's like, now matter another tone, and this trying, this process to look maybe the perfect tone. I will put it also in music. You are just trying. You never know how the best version is. You just know how to listen it. That's imagination. In German, you use it Vorstellungskraft. This is the imagination's power. You put it and say, okay, I know what I want to cling. But you come to a rehearsal and you have a sound, the real sound. This is really sound. And the question is, how do you put it both images together? That means that what you want and that's what are you really becoming, getting from the musicians. And just be in contact with this, and that you can just dance and being able to make a dialogue with the musician, and also later with the public.
Okay, so Andres, we want to put you now to the test. Let's have a look at Andres Garcia, Conductor. So, Andres, I have a quote from you. Sing it all, dance it all before you move your hands. Music is singing, movement, the magic of the moment. So tell us about your conducting of Brahms' Requiem.
So this is 2014. At that time, it was a beautiful project. I have really good memories of that time. Personally, also musician as musician. My wife was pregnant at the time of my first child, and it was this waiting about that. But this is not this nothing to do with music. But it was a beautiful time, and three choirs came together to sing this piece, the Ein Deutsches Requiem, a German Requiem from Johannes Brahms, and I would say that project was everything perfect, if I could say that from this time. The energy was good, the soloist was good, it was a kind of fluent energy the whole time, and I enjoyed a lot. We have this a kind of anecdotic thing at the end in this concert. You cannot see it in the video because the cameraman couldn't, okay, but at the last 10 seconds of the last movement where the harp is playing, going in the skies, and you're saying the death will. So there's this text I don't know in English from German, and that was a mobile phone clinging, not the Nokia but something else at the last pianissimo bars of the music, and I was like, oh my God, what should I do? And everybody was like freezing, and I just said my full score, the partitura, and I just say I have lateral G or F, some part of the score, and I just hand to the musicians bad G, lateral G, and everybody begins again to play, and we saved the end of that concert, just playing it again and not be angry with the people of an old lady. Can't happen. But it's a beautiful project, and I love that piece. German Requiem is a beautiful piece. It's not a matter if you know how deep this music is. There's no a note more than you have to write it, and the text is so on the pun what Brahms was saying. It's a beautiful piece.
Understood. Bob, so Dr. Bob, an old woman can ruin a concert?
Anybody can ruin a concert. But yes, I've had concerts ruined by old women and by young men and by people who start coughing at the wrong moment. Cell phones are the bane of everybody's existence. But coughers and sneezers are right up there as well. And that's just the way it goes. And I hate it. I wish people would turn off their damn phones. The same thing goes for movie theaters. And wherever we are under a spell, it breaks the spell. And that's a terrible sin, to break a communal spell. So yes, my friend, anyone can ruin a concert. A dog can ruin an opera. I once saw La Traviata, and during the party scene, at the very beginning, they had dogs on stage, and a couple of them started to copulate during the middle of, and you had these dogs humping away. And I can tell you, no one kept a straight face. No one was able to sing. Dogs ruined the first act of Traviata. There you have it.
So if we have any questions right now from our audience, probably I'm sure we have time. Just turn on
to reverse that image, by the way, I just want to mention something that the listeners should be aware of. If you haven't stood on stage in front of an orchestra, I've been lucky enough to do that myself a bunch of times, you have no idea how seductive being a conductor, either a choral conductor or orchestral conductor, can be. Because the best seat in the house is not in the orchestra, it's not on the balcony. The best seat in the house is the conductor's podium. The music actually hits you physically. You feel it in your body. It makes you move. The concussion waves are so powerful. And when you feel that, when you feel an orchestra playing hard and well, There's no feeling like it in the world. I'm talking about something that just transcends sound, pure feeling. There's nothing like it. And it's why way too many people think they want to be conductors.
Understood. So if we have any questions, feel free to type in the chat box, turn on your microphone. We have Andrés here, Maestro Andrés, Dr. Bob here to answer your questions or hear your comments, especially anything having to do with dogs on stage doing what they're not supposed to do. So going on, Andrés, I wanted to ask you about your professional life today. So you've become an established conductor here in Vienna, and you've got 2 choirs, an orchestra. Tell us about what is it that you're doing as a mature conductor? What is your profession today?
So I would add that right now we are living in these pandemic times, and my answer is no. The answer I would give you for 6 or 7 months at the beginning of the year, maybe in 2 years or next year. So the whole situation is so big. I would emphasize that because I'm a lucky guy because I know a lot of colleagues are suffering, not only because not playing, but also for not getting concert and not being paid. So the situation is not good. I can answer you, and the way I'm handling right now with my orchestra or my choirs, as the orchestra playing is right now in Stillstand, so really freeze. We can do right now. We got canceled a concert in April. It should be a beautiful concert with Beethoven and Schumann, but it canceled, and we don't know what the next concert will be. With the choirs, I already tell them I'm not sure we are playing this autumn, so this saison, a concert. It's really difficult. If you need to sing like in a choir, at least 2 meters distance between 2 singers, and that means you need a big theater. But choir music is not music for a big theater. So it's a kind of dilemma. How could you sing, and if the situation is going bad in 2 or 3 months, we have to cancel. For me, it's important just to give the musicians the opportunity to rehearse, to be together doing music. And it's not about the music, it's about the group. Not like, okay, we need just to rehearse a beautiful, complicated piece and put it together and make a concert, whatever what happened. It's more about the group, the social part of the being making music. In a choir, if you have been singing in a choir, you know it's not only about music, about the friendship you have there, the drinking a beer after the rehearsal. This whole part is so important and make the choir so a beautiful group. I'm seeing me right now not as a conductor, but a kind of giving opportunities to this group to not to get down and to disappear. Maybe I'm to be a kind of pathetic, but we don't know how the situation is going to be. At the other side, I'm been conducting, as I'm a chief orchestra conductor and also choir, but I have made all other things. I have a good friend of mine, Juan Carlos Paneagua, is a Colombian pianist, and we made for last year a concert when I was singing, and that was a kind of hobby inside in my music playing, a kind of, yes, a hobby, not being the one who is giving the other the opportunity to sing and to play, just singing myself and not being with my back to the audience, just being in the front. Also working with actors in theater, composing music with them for some pieces. There's more options, and I wouldn't say I'm a conductor and also make all those things. I'm doing a lot of things, and I like to be like this, just not being like specializing in Baroque opera from France or being specializing in contemporary music on West Europe. I don't know. I think you can love what you're doing if you learn Mozart, or if you're learning Beatles, or if you're learning, I don't know, other music. You can learn to love all the music you have. I'm not trying to be like generalizing and everything is good, but actually the beauty is, I will say this is a word from my brother, the beauty is not in the things, it's in the way you are looking at things. And seeing the things like this, you can see beauty everywhere. You asked me before about my childhood and music, and I remember somebody in my family, I don't know, a cousin or somebody, had a cassette, the old generation of music playing with cassettes, with Luis Lobos, there was a conductor who used to mix classical music with battery, with drums. There's like a tararam, pararam, pararam, pam, pam, or the Mozart, bang, bang, bang. And I remember me hearing this as a child, enjoying. I didn't know this, not a kind of banal music in the fact, but I got in contact with this music, and I remember enjoying that you never know how you get in love, and I would say that you get in love with the music, and it doesn't matter if it's classical or whatever. My brother is a songwriter, and I love what he is doing, and I'm not able to do what he's doing. I'm not a composer, and I know he also admires my job, and this kind of communication is like the two hemispheres in the brain, the emotional, the intellect. You need both. You need emotions, you need to be in love, you need to think. And there is this word from Barenboim, you said you have to think with your heart and feel with your head, or with your brain. And I think that's a beautiful sentence to know. You had all the big picture and what you're doing, and you can get information and how do you put it in German, in English? Begeisterung. How do you say Begeisterung?
Excited.
Excited everywhere.
Mm-hmm. So Andrés, so I wanted to ask, would you be able to sing us a few lines of this music that you sing with Mr. Paniagua?
Yes, I can. So we have a piano here. You put it. It is not accidental. We have a piano here. It's not spontaneously. I can sing, and I would like to do it. It's a song from my brother. I'm not sure I have signal here. I have signal. Let me do something here. And this part of the first things I did as I was in Colombia, singing. And I rediscovered this last year, singing with his friends, a kind of decision to do something different about different, not to be with Conductor, not to be with letting people sing, and just do it myself and looking. And this song is a very beautiful song, Cuando llueve en el alma. That is when it's raining in the soul. I like it much, and I will say it it's not my song. I will sing as it was mine, but actually for my brother. And I hope maybe he's looking right now, and that is for him. Yeah. Cuando llueve en el alma, casualmente se seca el río de las palabras. Ahí me quedo sin aire, sin tierra, sin Dios, sin mañana. Triste de lluvia aunque no llueva, solo de canto sin guitarra, aromas de calles en el mes de enero, melancolía de tu piel, es que me muero. Vida, muerte, noche, amor, tristezas que vienen, me mata tu adiós, la ausencia que acecha, rezas por vos, yo buscando entre besos el calor de otro sol. Cuando llueve en el alma, casualmente se seca el mar de las miradas. Es que pierdes la fe, olvidarme no es fácil que esperabas. Susurro callado que me envuelve, preguntas sin respuesta que no ensaya. Desnudo tu orgullo se fue lejos, moriste con mi adiós y ahora nos vemos. Vida, muerte, noche, amor, tristezas que vienen, me mata tu adiós, la ausencia que acecha, rezas por vos, yo buscando entre besos el calor de otro sol. El tiempo es la trampa, la miel se secó, mi juego de inciertos y el que pierde soy yo. A mitad de camino tú esperas, me voy. También llueve en tu alma y en esta canción. También llueve en tu alma y en esta ocasión. La la la, la la la, la la la, la.
Beautiful. Love
Very
it.
beautiful.
Wow. So, Dr. Bob, is Andres Garcia just an outlier of the conductors? Is he a maverick? Is he a new generation? Or has it always been like this?
I think it's always been like this. What he is, if you'll excuse me, Andres, we're talking about you in a tense called third person invisible. Here you're sitting here and we're acting like you're not here. He's a collaborator, and that's a beautiful thing. And as I said early on, a musician collaborator. I mean, I'd like to ask Andres to talk a little bit about what we were talking about before we went on camera, and that was a theatrical program in which he was involved, for which he won was a co-winner of a very important prize, the Nestroy Prize. And this idea of collaboration, 2 weeks ago when we spoke to Joyce Yang, the pianist, I thought what made her most animated, what made her most excited was when she talked about her collaboration with ballet dancers in that performance of Schumann's Carnival. And I know that I've collaborated with dancers twice. I've composed twice for dance companies. And those were by far the most exciting moments in my compositional career because it pulled me out of my box. It took me out of my comfort zone and put me amongst these amazingly talented people who could do things I couldn't imagine. And it made me better at what I did. And so I'd love to hear Andres tell us about this theatrical program and And the beauty of collaboration, it's just a different sort of experience.
Yes, also, I would said something before. There is a sentence, something like, there is no bad influence. There is just good receipt natures. I wouldn't say it about me, but you can. I said before, I learn a lot about from bad teachers, also from bad conductors. I wasn't saying like, okay, that's good and bad. Not this black white thing. I don't like it to be so generalizing, but something you said, okay, I don't like the work he's doing, and I learn just, okay, I don't want to do it like this. And this had to be also with the thing we were talking before about this, where you are just hearing the Vienna Philharmonica or this high level. It's beautiful. You can just say the nuance, and you can separate, but actually you can learn also in where the things are not doing really good. About your question, this work with theater people, there was a kind of faith thing. I didn't look for that. It just came to me. My wife is actress, and the director of this piece had the idea that these 5 or 4, maybe 6 actors should sing at the end a cappella. Because why he wanted to be a connection with his mother. She conducted a choir in Austria, and said, I want a choir. And they called me and say, okay, just write something. And I make an arrangement, I compose something, and I just working with them, knowing I know how to rehearse a piece with people who know how to sing polyphonic. And I just get there and I see, okay, there's actors, they can do everything you need, and they are with her and with body there, but you had to enrich them with other words, other technique, and it was more like working with children, and in the way of you have to be just so clear in your information. It was beautiful for me just working with people who is not working the music. They can sing, they can act, represent something, but then you have to sing a chord and just be a D major, and this process to get them to hear and to playing together is beautiful. And after that, they came other options to work with actors, and I liked all, and I can learn a lot because it's always a challenge. I suppose I know how to work. That's the kind. Okay, I know what my job, but it's not really like this. You come and each situation is different. Always maybe also with the same people, and each time you have to be in the moment, just right now, what they need right now, not my imagination of what should be. Is more like, okay, what's the real situation here? We have to operate here a man, and we don't have the whole tools. How would we do? So that is more this acting in reacting in the moment. I put it also pathetic again, but it's more like, okay, reacting after the situation.
So I have a question for you, Andres, along this line, because we have the special privilege tonight to have one of our laureates. So you are laureate guest here, Stephanie Morales, and she came with Thomas Bull from France just a few weeks ago, and they were talking to us on the show about acting, and is singing, can you act too much of your singing, or do you have to sing and then act? And Thomas was telling us that his idea of singing is that when you are acting or you are expressing the way the emotion should be, that the voice naturally sings the way it should. What's your opinion?
Yeah, I agree. It depends where you're singing. Also, in my case was just this piece, like a kind of just this piece at the end of the piece of the theater piece. But actually, the actors are really well prepared to sing. They had beautiful voices, and the challenge for me with actors more to get an homogenic color, because the voice is there. They have it, actually, totally. But they're more, they know how to actor and present a character, and they hear a lot and they respond with words. With singing, this homogenic or this beautiful sound, but you don't know, there's no solids here. That's a really challenge working with actors, and I like that. I'm not sure if I'm answering correct of your question. Correct me please if I've answered something different.
No, yes, it is. So you're saying that the actors, that they can all sing, but that it's difficult for them to sing together because they are used to singing as soloists.
Yes, yes.
May I ask a question on these lines? So in Zeitgeist, and I trust you'll tell everyone what Zeitgeist is about. In Zeitgeist, you have singers. Do you require them to act in the course of that piece? And if so, can they?
There is a open field, and there is a lot of choir, also worldwide, there's a lot of choirs to use, and they do the whole time singing and making a choreography and dancing. I'm just trying in this field. I'm just beginning in that field. There is a lot of people who is doing a really good job, but I would say I use the thing I need depend of the project. If you're mentioning Zeitgeist, it was a project, and we won this choir of the year 2008 here in Vienna because of that project. Was more the confidence of more things together. I could work in that project. One, but some choreography, so body percussion. Also, a friend of mine's a DJ, and we had him in the concert, and he made the concert, the whole atmosphere before the choir begins. We make some. We have a lot of composers who are not still alive, and there was a project with a dramatic idea. And what we were talking before the interview began was this kind of non-stopping concert. That means you don't go to a concert and you hear a song and people is clutching, and the next song is stop and go. I don't like that kind of concert when I just like hearing the next one, and the clutching is part of the ritual. I like when the applause, the clutch come as something natural, and that's why I use in that project, but in many other projects, also with big orchestra pieces, like for example Mozart Requiem, a concert where you invite the public, the audience, to get in a trip. How? Beginning with music and not with I'm here and the big artist and please applause and hello. This kind of ritual. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I don't need it to express music. And if you avoid the whole ritual, ritual, you can achieve the people with music, not with a kind of ceremony. Yes?
Andrés, yes, may I ask, can we take a look 1 minute of this video? Let's have a look at it. Zeitgeist. Wow. So I guess that is quite a good way for us to end tonight's discussion, because this is everything that Andres has been talking about since the beginning, a collection of everything that he's interested in, anything where excitement can be found, any interesting corner, and any stone that's interesting should not be left unturned. So Andres, we can, I guess, we can direct people how to take a look at that video of the Zeitgeist. How can we stay in touch with you? I'm sorry, Andres, I can't hear you right now.
For the three ensembles I'm conducting, this is the WU Chor Wien, as a choir from the Economic University from Vienna. There's a website and the whole information about these projects. There's also l'Orfeo Viennese, the smart orchestra, and then you have these videos inside, my biography, and the contact also there. And the other choir is the Neue Madrigal Chor. There's also a website, and you can see also the whole information inside.
Wonderful. So we have here Andres l'Orfeo Viennese Orchestra. So, and there's In Aeternum trailer. We have some videos. Just go there, take a look at it. It's orfeoviennese.com. And there's the contact also. So, and there's Andres, there he is, create and let happen, right above his name and his profession. Look at that. And so there's his contact. And it's okay, Andres, if people write to you, if they contact you about also your brother's music, getting brother's music, hearing how they can sing with you.
Yes, of course, of course.
Wonderful. So there we have it again. It's in the chat room, orfeoviennese.com. So we have now to talk about next Wednesday coming up. We have Alicia Lawyer, Wildcatting in the Arts as Business Model. Businesswoman, artistic director, principal oboist, Alicia Lawyer wears many hats and must have to carry around a ton of different business cards. Or maybe she doesn't. After all, she is one of Houston's top 50 most influential women, senior fellow at the American Leadership Forum, and more importantly, the proud mother of 2 boys. How on earth has she accomplished so much? Moreover, what inspired her to work so hard to achieve the extraordinary success she today enjoys? Welcome to the UR community, Alicia. Oh yeah, and by the way, what's wildcatting? So next Wednesday, we have Alicia Lawyer. Look forward to welcoming everyone back next Wednesday. So we must thank Andres Garcia. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, for sharing your life with us, your talents, your wonderful conducting. I believe now I can tell everyone, I think a conductor does something very important. And thank you very much to your brother and for you singing his beautiful music. We hope also to have your brother come on the show so that we get to know his music better and have you come along so that we can hear you singing again. Thanks very much to Dr. Bob, of course, our expert commentator. Thanks very much to our superhero production team. Thanks to our generous sponsors, the Student Hotel Vienna. And thanks, of course, to you, our participants, without whom this work would just not make sense. So, live from Vienna, live from the Student Hotel Vienna and live from Oakland, California. See you next week. Goodbye.